Hi all, Leanne here from Healthful Pursuit, and you're watching Healthful Hints, a show about all things nutrition. So in the past we've talked about my favorite healthy sweeteners and alternative sugars, but today it's time to talk about the worst. Basically, what sugars and sugar substitutes we do not want close to our kitchen. A great rule of thumb for choosing a healthy sweetener or even a healthier diet overall is to avoid anything artificial. If it comes from a lab, you don't want it. So with that, here are my top 3 picks on sugars to avoid. Number 1 is sucralose, also known as Splenda. You may have heard their slogan, made from sugar so it tastes like sugar. Sounds safe, right? How could something that's made from sugar be bad for us? Well, sucralose is created in a lab and is actually a synthetic chemical. To make it, they add chlorine molecules to a sugar molecule. And you may be asking, well, natural foods have chlorine in them, so why is it bad for sucralose to have chlorine? In natural foods, chlorine is connected by ionic bonds, something that our bodies can easily break down. But in sucralose, it's a different bond called a covalent bond, and those are impossible for our body to break down. And interestingly enough, there are no covalent bonds in nature, so that tells us something right there. Aside from Splenda, some other popular products that use that same covalent bond with chloride include things like PCBs, DDT, and Agent Orange. Agent Orange. You know, the herbicide that was used to kill over 400,000 people during the Vietnam War? Yeah, that's the one. Ugh. Because of these bonds, your body actually has no idea how to process sucralose. It's a completely foreign object to our bodies. So this is why they're able to claim that sucralose is a 0-calorie sweetener, because our body doesn't break it down, it just goes right through us. However, research is now proving that up to 15% of sucralose can be held into the body for our entire lifetime. So with that, let's move on to number 2. Which is aspartame. Aspartame can be found in products like Equal, Nutritaste, and many popular diet foods and beverages. You'll see it in Diet Pop and Diet Bars and all those sorts of things. So aspartame is another chemical and is created using a simple 3-ingredient recipe. 2 amino acids, phenylalanine, and aspartic acid, held together by a methyl ester bond, also known as wood alcohol, which is a known poison. So let's focus on the amino acids for now. So if you don't know, amino acids are the building blocks of protein. And when found in their natural state, they're completely safe to enjoy. But not in the case of aspartame. Why? The amino acids in aspartame are found in popular items like meat, fish, or eggs, but only at around 4 to 5% each of the total amino acid profile. This is basically how nature intends it to be. But in the case of aspartame, the same amino acid ratio is 50% phenylalanine and 40% aspartic acid compared to the 4 to 5% in your eggs and meat and fish. The combination of these amino acids at the high rate that they're at, combined with the bond that holds them all together, causes aspartame to be metabolized in your body into wood alcohol, which I mentioned earlier is a known poison, and formaldehyde, which embalms tissues. Consuming aspartame can lead to birth defects, cancer, weight gain, and has also been linked to brain tumors. Okay, on to number 3. Fructose, which is found in agave, high fructose corn syrup, and honey. But I want to mention that there's a lot of health benefits to honey, so I haven't included honey in this list. I get asked a lot, fructose is in fruits, so is it safe to eat? Fructose in fruits, similar to what we see in animal proteins with amino acids, are in their perfect combination. So like I said earlier, the profile of the fructose combined with all the nutrients are in the perfect delivery system for our body. So you don't need to be as worried about the fructose content in your favorite apple or pear. That's totally fine. What we're talking about is the fructose, or the sugar from the fruit, actually removed from the natural source so that it's no longer combined with all those other nutrients. So there's been a lot of high fructose corn syrup hate going around, which is awesome, but people have been switching to agave as a replacement for some of their sweeteners. In fact, I did it too. I thought it was completely healthy and good for you, but then I learned that agave nectar has upwards of 70 to 97% fructose content, whereas most high fructose corn syrups have around 55%. So if you can find a natural raw agave that has not been processed, you're usually going to hit under the 50% mark for fructose, but it's very expensive and pretty hard to find. Many of the companies that produce agave have a phone number or an email address that you can contact, and I've emailed a bunch of different companies asking them for the fructose content, and they've been more than willing to share that information with me. So if you have some agave at home, I urge you to check it out, see if you can get some information about it. You may have a great batch that's very, very unprocessed and lower in fructose, and then you may have a really, really, really high fructose agave. So that's something to look for. Why is fructose so unhealthy? It's actually metabolized into fat much quicker than any other sugar. In fact, the entire burden of metabolizing fructose is done in the liver and promotes a particular type of fat growth called adipose fat. This is the type of fat that collects in your abdominal region and is associated with a higher risk of heart disease. Also, fructose can lead to insulin resistance over time, an underlying factor of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and many cancers. Also, it tricks your body into gaining weight by messing around with your metabolism to the point where you think you're hungry even when you're not. It can also lead to weight gain, abdominal obesity, decreased HDL cholesterol, increased LDL cholesterol, elevated triglycerides, elevated blood sugar, and high blood pressure. So there you have it, 3 forms of sugar and sweeteners that we should all look out for and instead replace with things like xylitol, pure glucose, stevia, or palm sugar. And I've included a link below for a full list of the sugars that I recommend. Now ideally we want to be decreasing our sugar intake overall, regardless of whether the sugar that we're using is healthy or not, and rely on natural tastes in order to satisfy our sweet tooth, which does take time, but it is possible. I'd love to know how you satisfy your sweet tooth naturally by sharing your comments below. See you soon. Bye!